All right, people, done deal. Canelo Alvarez and Daniel Jacobs. Should we call him Danny or Daniel? I don't quite know. Don't quite know. First of all, right? Great fight. Who in the hell can complain? I cannot complain about this particular fight. Can't do it. And I will say, as a hardcore Gennady Golovkin fan, Canelo is kind of making Golovkin look a little bad. Okay, if you want to compare the two together, Canelo gets a big deal from DAZN, moves up, beats Rocky Fielding, grabs a belt. Now he's fighting one of the best middleweights on the planet, right? Daniel Jacobs championship fight, 32. What is he? 30? No, 35 2-0. Lost to a Gennady Golovkin P-Rog earlier on, Daniel Jacobs. So you can't complain. You just can't. So, and I'm not really talking about the past, okay? I'm talking about the present. I believe, Canelo's doing all the right things. So, I'm not, like I said, I'm not here to hate on Canelo. And in fact, I'm here to kind of praise him. And if you don't do the same, I don't really think you're a fan of boxing, because in this situation, he's done absolutely nothing wrong. I mean, he's done exactly what a champion should do. Okay, I mean, seriously, even the hardcore Canelo haters, you can't say much. Not as of recent anyway. So anyway, look, here's my takeaway from the press conference. I think they're in, where the hell are they? New York? I don't know, somewhere. New York, something like that. But, it was your, typical boring press conference. The highlight was probably Eddie Hearn joking around with Canelo and Oscar De La Hoya, telling them, they look worried, and of course you had, the other expected comments about Daniel Jacobs, defeating cancer, Canelo building his legacy, but beyond that, both guys had a lot of respect for each other, and that was typically it, as far as the press event goes. Pretty boring, in my opinion. I was kind of waiting on some kind of excitement, but, really not much. But getting to the fight, look, and I'm going to give you a few just overall thoughts. I mean, you cannot win a decision against Canelo in a close fight, okay? It's not going to happen. Period. End of story. Now, what I think about Jacobs, I feel like we haven't really seen the best of Daniel Jacobs, but I think everything must align. He needs to be focused, healthy, rested, in shape, a good training camp. He's got to be completely on point. If all of that can come together on fight night, he could be a threat to Canelo. So now Canelo, on the other hand, he seems to be unstoppable, but look, that's usually when a fighter gets caught. And I'm not going to argue about the Golovkin fights, when I say he's unstoppable, because I already know what you're going to say. Oh, well, Golovkin beat him, and I've said it a million times too, but we've got to move on from that, okay? I mean, as a Triple G advocate, as a fan, I've built my channel around Gennady Golovkin. It's time to move on. Let's look forward to the trilogy, and we got to get past that. So, because you don't want to get to a point to where you look salty, right? I mean, as a boxing fan, you just don't want to get salty. Now, in fact, I'm going to make a video talking about who, when, and how I believe Canelo will take his first loss. I mean, other than Mayweather, as of recent, okay, when I say his first, another loss, should I say, he's got the draw, got the loss, okay, but, I don't really hear a lot of people talking about that, who's going to beat him, who's out there that is, most likely to beat Canelo. And I'm very excited actually to make a video talking about that. So now let me read you a quick comment that kind of drives me crazy. I have to address it. Okay, quote, "Where are all the Canelo haters that believe Canelo ducks elite competition?" Okay, where are all the Canelo haters that believe Canelo ducks, avoids, whatever, elite competition? Well, you're probably about 10 fights late, maybe 6, 7 years late on that comment. Look, you can't make the claim that Canelo fights elite fighters in their prime just because he's fighting Daniel Jacobs. I mean, that doesn't erase the past. But anyway, moving forward, I had to throw that in there. I mean, look, take Deontay Wilder. We knew that he had what 30-something knockouts within 4 rounds coming up, fighting a bunch of tomato cans, a bunch of cab drivers, whatever. You can't say just because he got in there with Ortiz and Tyson Fury that he always, fights elite competition. So you got to look at the full package. But as I said in the beginning, as of lately, you got to give the dude credit, okay? You just simply have to. Now, one thing, I was covering the Jaime Munguia fight as press in Houston. Oscar De La Hoya was talking about how they're going to bring Canelo Jacobs, to Houston as a part of the press tour, and they didn't. I even have a video. Like I could play you the audio right now. So I'm curious what happened to that. I mean, I was actually looking forward to covering that fight. Maybe getting an interview, something like that. But they didn't. But also, I told you guys, I strongly believe we're going to get the Gennady Golovkin trilogy September. Worst case scenario, probably early 2020. So once again, I can't really hate on what Canelo's doing. I mean, to be honest, I'm a little irritated with Triple G right now. The dude has just disappeared. Now, I mean, I broke some news earlier. I told you guys he's going to sign with his own, starting up Triple G Promotions. By the way, I have a follow-up video on that. Tom Loeffler kind of broke his silence and revealed some new information that I have for you guys that we'll talk about later. But, in comparison, like I said, Canelo's kind of shining right now. And you can't hate on him for that. So as far as my prediction goes, I really don't have one at this time. But if you told me I had to give you an answer, I would probably say Canelo by decision. I mean, I feel like he's going to be a little more active than Jacobs. I think Jacobs is going to freeze up, on the big stage, and it's going to cost him valuable rounds, especially in the earlier rounds. I think Canelo is going to steal, the first several rounds, 2, 3, 4 rounds, giving him a huge advantage and making it nearly impossible for Jacobs to catch up without a knockdown or a knockout. We know that's not going to happen. I mean, anything could happen as boxing, but I really doubt that's going to happen. And, I feel like Canelo's going to get that early lead, them rounds in the bank and make it nearly impossible for Jacobs to win. So that's probably what I think is going to happen. It's probably Canelo, by decision. So now looking at of course, the obvious difference, right? You got the height difference. So looking at Daniel Jacobs, 35-2-0, like I mentioned earlier, 5'11 and a half, 73-inch reach, okay? So he's 5'11", 73. Canelo, 5'8", 70 and a half. So you got 8, 9, 10, 11, probably about a 3.5 inch reach advantage. Here, I think I have a better shot here of these two guys face to face. There you go. So yeah, about a 3, and you can see the arm length. I mean, look at their shoulders, and you can tell, that Daniel Jacobs definitely has that the height and reach advantage. I mean, it's pretty obvious. So, but now they asked Daniel Jacobs at the press conference. They were like, okay, so who do you think is a tougher opponent, Canelo or Gennady Golovkin? He said, well, and it was a good answer. He said, I don't know. He goes, after the fight, I'll tell you. Because you really don't know at this point. Now, one thing he did say that I thought was kind of funny. He said, well, Canelo's fought Golovkin. Golovkin was the bigger man on fight night, because they asked about the size difference. They're like, Canelo's fighting, obviously, you're bigger than him. And, what do you have to say about that? And he's like, oh, no, wait a minute. Canelo fought Golovkin, and Golovkin was bigger than Canelo. Basically trying to say that Golovkin was bigger than him and Canelo. And I'm going to hold up, like, remember Daniel Jacobs, didn't weigh in for the second IBF weigh-in, and he came in damn near like a cruiserweight, who knows, 180 plus pounds. So, we know he's going to be big. And we also know Gennady Golovkin never comes in over 170, 171, maybe 172. And we know Canelo comes in, 75 through 80, light heavyweight and up. So that was kind of a ridiculous statement. I think he kind of misspoke, to be honest. I think they kind of caught him off guard there. Maybe he meant Golovkin's a little taller, perhaps. I don't know. But looking at Canelo's resume real quick, let me run it down for you. You guys know Rhodes, Gomez, Cintron, Mosley, Lopez, Trout, Mayweather, Angulo, Erizlandi Lara, Kirkland, Cotto, Amir Khan, Liam Smith, Chavez, right? I mean, it's a decent resume. All right, Golovkin, Rocky Fielding, Daniel Jacobs, and of course, now we have Canelo Alvarez. So, but Let me read you. Now here, let me end it here with, I gotta click on BoxRec and look this up real quick. Okay, let me get there real quick. All right, Daniel Jacobs. Okay, I was looking at his resume earlier, right? Okay, let's go back to, I don't know, Mora. Okay, you remember Sergey Mora, that Latin snake. Actually, he's doing commentating now. Sir, I don't know if you guys knew that, but Sergio Mora is doing commentating for, who is it? DAZN? Yeah, DAZN, I believe. Anyway, remember the original fight between Mora and Daniel Jacobs, 2015. He had like I think it was like a knockdown in round 2, and he like hurt his ankle, couldn't continue. Something happened, and Daniel Jacobs went on. What the hell happened in that fight? You guys remind me. Something happened in that fight that he wanted the rematch, you know. And then, you know, Jacob said, no, I'm not giving you the rematch. He goes on, fights Peter Quillen, you know, that first round TKO. Remember, round 1 just blasted Quillen. Then he gets the rematch with Sergio Mora. But something like controversial happened. I can't remember what it was, but I remember basically he fought. My point is he fought Mora to duck Gennady Golovkin and other fighters. And that's a fact. I mean, look it up, do your homework, okay? So you look at it, you know, you had kind of some controversy with that fight. Peter Quillen, you know, everyone claims he caught him cold, right? You know, Gennady Golovkin lost, right? And then he goes on to fight, you know, two or three unknown guys, you know, what was it, Luis Arias or whatever, and Selecki, and then Darby and Checo, right? You know, 3 W's in a row, and now Canelo. But anytime, where is the elite competition? When I'm looking at his resume, there's just really not any elite names on there other than Gennady Golovkin, which he lost to. So, you know, basically you have Canelo with a stacked resume, you know, whether you can tear it apart or not, it is stacked. And you have Daniel Jacobs with a fairly weak resume. So, you know, right off the bat, you know, a lot of people would call Jacobs, you know, maybe not a hype job, but he's kind of maybe like a B-level fighter. I know he's, you know, ranked number 2. Even when he fought Gennady Golovkin, you know, they considered him the number 2 middleweight, you know, in the world, right? I mean, even all the biased YouTube channels called him that, you know, saying that he's a number 2, he should be number 1, and blah, 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 blah. So, you know, but just looking at that resume, I'm not too impressed, is my point. You know, just, I'm not impressed whatsoever. You know, Milton Nunez, Lorenzo, you know, it just Mora, Golovkin, you know, Darby and Checo, just, I don't know. Not a lot of talent there in my opinion. So, I don't know, guys. What do you think? I mean, I'm probably going to leave it at that. I'm trying to kind of shorten up my videos because you guys know, once I start talking, I can't shut up because I love talking about boxing. But I've got another quick video coming right after this one. Be sure to check it out and leave your comment below.